Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a long time since I've done anything in the garage here lately. Current circumstances with this virus that shall not be named has been causing some havoc around here. Um, yeah, unfortunately, I've been working from home for the last couple of weeks, and that has, with the kids in the house, that has kind of distracted me, and I haven't been able to get out in the garage and do as much as I would have hoped to have done. But today is Saturday, and I've got all day to work on a little project I've been wanting to get on for a while. Today I'm going to be working on installing a Wilwood big brake kit. So I have got the, let's see if you can see that. I've got Wilwood's 6-piston calipers here, and they're 12.88-inch rotors to install on the fronts. We're going to go ahead and get the factory rotors removed and the new rotors bolted up with stainless steel brake lines, and see how this looks. It should be a pretty straightforward install. Really all we're doing is unbolting the caliper. We're going to take the caliper off, a couple of bolts in the back, and unbolt this factory rubber line and replace it with some fun stuff. So I'm going to get into it. Alright, so that was pretty easy. Got the factory caliper and rotor out, just a couple of bolts. I've left the stock caliper piston hanging up here, hooked up to the brake line. I'm going to leave that connected until I get the new rotor and caliper in place. And then all I've got to do is quickly unbolt here and run the new line from the brake caliper in here, and hopefully then I won't lose much brake fluid when I do that. I am going to flush all brake fluid out and replace it with modal brake fluid when I'm done. But for now, I want to prevent as much drainage as possible. So get this cleaned up. I'm going to try and clean some of the rust off of this a little bit, and then we'll get the new caliper bolted in place.
Go. Go.
Okay, so we got the caliper mounting bracket installed. Hopefully you caught that on the time lapse, and the rotor's in place, ready to go. So next up I got to get the pads installed in the caliper, and that's pretty straightforward. Just got a couple of little clips and pins here, a couple of pins and clips. Slip the pads in place, everything locks in. Should be pretty easy. I believe these go something like that. pins slip in. Maybe. There we go. I just didn't want to. That pad was a little bit tight for that pin. Didn't want to go in the hole. Alright, I need 2 hands. I'll be right back. Alright, that wasn't too bad. 1. 2. Okay. Pads are mounted. Pins are in. Ready to bolt this up. So for that, just got a couple of bolts and washers. Bolt that to the mounting bracket, and we're good to go. All right, got the caliper in place. It's just snugged up right now. I don't have anything tightened. I don't have any spacers on it either. So no spacers. Here's where I'm at. It's offset to the rear just a little bit. So what I'm going to have to do is get a spacer, a couple of washers that the kit comes with, and try and space this back a little bit, which is just going to be getting a spacer in between the bracket. And it looks like I'm going to guess just one spacer will do it. So pop this back off and do that. Alright, one spacer was the magic number. Put one in, and that thing is silky smooth now. Alright, so pull these bolts out one at a time, put some red Loctite on them, and then all I got to do is bolt up my brake line. And one side is done. Okay, that does it for the driver's side. Passenger side is just a repeat of this, so I'm not going to record that. There's no point in showing the same thing twice, but yeah, pretty straightforward. All in all, really pretty easy. So once I got this bolted in place, I got the brake line replaced and pulled the old caliper out of there. And the only thing left to do now is to bleed the brakes. That's not right. Bleed the brakes. So yeah, I'm gonna get that done here as soon as right after I get the passenger side done. And then up next, we're gonna move to the rear, and I'm gonna do stainless steel. I'm going to replace the factory brake lines with stainless steel. I got stainless steel brake lines with the brake kit, and I'm going to go ahead and paint the factory caliper red to match. I'm not going to replace the rear brakes at this time. Everything I've read, it's really not necessary on the Miatas. The brakes are really pretty capable in the rear. It's the fronts that I thought could use a little bit of a boost. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. If you can't tell, that was kind of a boring, I'm pretty excited. So, alright, I'm going to move on to the passenger side and get that done, and then we'll wrap up this video after that. Hang tight. So I almost forgot to mention, as I'm getting ready to breed the... Why do I keep saying breed? I almost forgot to mention while I'm getting ready to bleed these brakes that I picked up a set of speed bleeders from Russell Performance. At the same time I ordered the brake kit. So the cool thing about these brake bleeders is they have a little check valve in here. So when you crack open your brake valve, the bleeder, and pump the brakes and bleed the brakes, that check valve will allow fluid out, but it won't allow air back in, so it can only flow one way. So I think that could be a pretty cool way to, speed up bleeding the brakes every time I need to change brake fluid on this thing. So I've already gone ahead and pulled out the stock bleeder valve. I'm going to replace it with this. Alright, there's the finished product. I think it looks pretty awesome in there. Definitely a huge step up from from the stock brakes. And all in all, pretty easy install. So I can't wait to get this out and try this out and see what it feels like. I've heard pedal feel is just significantly better on the 6 pistons than even the 4 piston Wilwoods that are out there. And that's really the main reason I went for the 6 pistons. If I'm going to spend the money, the 6 pistons weren't that much more than the 4, and you get another decent size step up in rotor. And the big thing was the size of the pads. Even compared to the 4 piston calipers that are out there, the pads on the 4 pistons are just slightly bigger than stock. So if you want to talk about heat capacity and how much, how effective those brakes can be, then to me it made sense to get the biggest pads you could get. I don't know if I'll ever track this car. I would like to start autocrossing with it. That's really kind of the intent with a lot of the upgrades I've been making lately, between the shocks and the brakes and the supercharger, just to make it more fun. And if I get an opportunity to start autocrossing or get it out on some track days, I want it to have the power and both engine power and braking power to handle those kind of days well. And I think these are going to do it. Plus, they just look badass. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thanks for following along so far. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell for me. That'll really help keep this going. I'm hoping to come up with some more content here soon. I kind of need life to return to normal and the cash flow to return so I can keep going with this. So thanks much, and tune in again for the next one.